All right, welcome to the Media Roundtable. We're talking to leading podcasters about the shows they create, why they create them, and the impact that they have on the world. So whether you're a listener or a member of the advertising community, you can better understand the content that is out there and feel good about what you consume and what you support. I'm your host, Dan Granger, and today we are joined by basketball legend Metta Sandiford-Artest, a.k.a. Ron Artest Jr., a.k.a. Metta World Peace, who, by the way, is a fellow Podcast One host with the recent launch of his show, Metaphorically Speaking. So welcome, Metta. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so first things first. Let's talk about this. Are you mad at Zuckerberg or not?
Happy.
You're happy.
Of course.
Okay.
I mean,
did you watch your search traffic change when they made the announcement, or what?
I didn't really do any data capturing
Uh-huh.
or any analytics on that, but I did get a lot of text messages, comments on my Twitter, Instagram, posts, all type of things. And
But no commission.
no commission. But you want to know something? It's one T.
Uh-huh.
It's Meta. I love it. I'm really happy about it because I just thought it was cool. Now I do have a company called Meta Tech,
Yep.
and I started this company I would say a long time ago, maybe 7 years ago. And I'm thinking from a sports perspective. I didn't go to school for computer science.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't go to any of these big schools. My goals was to play basketball or major in math.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I always had this love for numbers, analytics, and that kind of led me to tech, digital marketing, and different things like that. So I'm kind of a late bloomer. But when you talk about Meta, the new Facebook company, it just brought, kind of joy to my face because I'm like, okay, this is great. We're going in a direction, that I'm kind of interested in.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So set the table for us a little bit. You've been retired for about 4 years.
I
right?
think 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
And you have expanded your business activity significantly. Can you just give us a bit of a lay of the land about everything you got your hand in right now?
Yeah.
I know you're doing a lot.
Yeah, so when I was in the league, I was really into rapping,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to get into the music business.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the issues was the business was a little bit challenging.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just finish my career focusing on basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I was also using my brand to sell merchandise, so I did a couple different things from a merchandise perspective.
You had some
Sold
endorsement
sneakers.
deals?
I wasn't really into the endorsements. I was more into being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
When I was 19 years old in 1999, I wanted to do my own shoe company.
Yeah.
And everybody was like, why you don't just sign with another company? I said, I want to do my own shoe company.
Yeah.
But I didn't really have enough people around me that could help me launch a shoe company.
Yeah.
And money's not necessarily needed to actually start the process. You have to come up with the idea and how we're going to make it work.
Yeah.
Then you can go raise the money or whatever the case may be. So then when you fast forward to my career, I wanted to do a management company.
Mm-hmm.
And what is a management company? It's for athletes. It's a business. It's bill pay. It's tax accounting. It's endorsements. It's agent. Right? It's all that stuff.
It's handling,
it's
taking
entertainment.
care of the business transactions that surround being an athlete.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Surrounding
Is
the
that
athlete.
what Ballers is about?
Well, I think Ballers. I've never seen Ballers, but everybody told me I should watch it.
Yeah. It seemed. I think that was the concept, and it seems like it's something that's so badly needed. I mean,
Yeah.
you come in and you go. You're a household name, virtually overnight, and you've got all these resources and this money, and who's there to teach you how to manage it? Right.
That's true also. But sometimes you'll run up against some really good business managers.
Yeah.
It just depends who you are.
Yeah.
Who you meet at that time.
Yeah.
But
How did you do at that time?
Well, when I was younger, I had agents, but I didn't really have like a business manager. But the agents, they do a good job. Some agents do a really good job of managing, your business.
Yeah.
Some agents do a really good job. I had Mark Bartlestein. He did a really great job.
Okay.
Early in my career. I had a couple other agents. I had some really good agents, but I was really entrepreneurial. So I'm kind of independent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying, so to speak.
Yeah.
And my mind is like creative.
Yeah.
So to keep pace with me is kind of, you got to be a fast-paced mover.
Yeah.
And you got to be steps ahead, in order to keep pace. And some athletes are like that. You got to be steps ahead of the athlete.
Yeah.
As a business manager, depending on who the athlete is.
Well, and so in the last 4 years, you've launched a few different businesses. You also wrote a book Can you talk a little bit about that? No
Yeah.
Malice.
The No Malice book. So that book the idea was brought to me.
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested in doing documentaries. I'm not interested in doing books.
Yeah.
I'm more interested in digital marketing.
Yeah.
And that's it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But me being around Artest, all these opportunities just come.
Yeah.
Hey, let's do a documentary. Hey, let's do a book.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, let's do a book. So, my mind is not in it like it would be in the future. I think I would want to do a real book. I want to do a real documentary.
You did produce a documentary. I know the Netflix one just came out, but even prior to that, hadn't you also been involved in a documentary that you were
Quiet
producing?
Storm,
Yeah,
with Showtime bought. I was a producer title on that doc. It was cool. It wasn't. It happened not quickly, but it was produced by other producers' vision, by their vision on how they saw me.
Yeah,
which was great. I really enjoyed it. And it's on Hulu. Showtime bought it. Bleacher Report actually was the initial production company.
Yeah, that's great.
And I think Players Tribune was involved also.
Okay.
But I wanted something. I wanted something a little bit broader, So I'm hoping that the next documentary it'll be a little bit broader, it'll really tell the story. It'll really get deep into my story.
Yeah, so you've been a part of several of these books and documentaries now, but it seems like they're all focused on like maybe one feature of your career, and you're saying the full comprehensive story of your life has not yet been told.
I don't know. That has not been told. I think, that's why I started my production company.
Yeah.
I actually had my production company for a long time, but it was only on paper.
Yeah.
It wasn't an actually developed company.
Yeah.
And now it's developing. So once it's fully developed, then we're going to actually go and do a doc on myself.
Has anything that's been created on you gotten as much attention as the Netflix special?
I think the Quiet Storm, the one that Bleacher Report did, it did. But the Malice in the Palace was a part of a slate of shows.
Yeah, yeah. But that one stood out. I mean, that got the world talking. And what's that been like being you with that coming out? I mean, are you just numb to all the conversation about it by now? Or what was that like?
Honestly, I don't. Just on social media, people see me. Hey, I saw the doc, but I'm so busy right now. I'm literally not focused on anything but what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to kind of say, "Oh, wow, I love this doc," or, I'm just like, I'm kind of numb to it, like you said.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one of the things that I was thinking about. Just getting ready for this and getting to know your story a little bit better. There's the things that the world knows about you or thinks that they know about you.
Right.
And then there's what your experience is, which may be nothing like that.
Right.
To people that are going through your resume, that was a huge event for your story. But I don't know if that's just another, thing that happened on a series of hundreds of things that have happened in your world. How outsized was that event in your life relative to everything that's happened?
It was very outside. During that event, I was releasing an album called Chapter 3, which if you love R&B music, go get the album. It's called Chapter 3.
They stopped making it.
They stopped making it.
What happened?
They stopped making it. That's funny. For sure they did.
It changed.
It's true.
The production is not the same. So if you're going to do another business venture, if you would please.
Yes.
I think we're a little deficient right now.
I agree with you, by the way. But I did an album with a group called Allure. I would say maybe 6 months prior to me signing them. They were signed to Mariah Carey. So a really good group.
Wow.
And I signed them. The album is incredible. So I was actually doing that during that time.
Yeah.
And just trying to start with this album and then go on to the next album and keep going to the next level. And then when the brawl happened, it kind of put me, in disarray and different things like that. But I was always into trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to do my own shoe.
You're a few decades ahead of most people. You were getting canceled before people knew about getting canceled. You're talking about mental health. Decades before. I mean,
Metta.
Right now everybody's talking Metta. Yeah, you've been on the forefront of a few things. Where's it going in 20 years from now? Because some of us want to get ahead.
Well, I would say I'm inspired first by people. And by nature and by things and people. I'm inspired. And I'm always thinking like that, like what could I do to be fun, to be entertaining?
Yeah.
Not only like entertaining to people watching, but just entertaining to just the world, just in general, without cameras. So when I changed my name to Metta, You know, it's like, how can we push things forward?
Mm-hmm.
So when I changed it for Metta from a spiritual perspective, then I started Metta Tech.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when I went on both those journeys, I went on those journeys pretty much with my partner,
Yeah.
Heidi. But, you know, normally if you go on those journeys, these are journeys that can be big. So from a tech perspective, you need the background, you need the acumen, you need the people.
Yeah, yeah.
So that journey got me started
Mm-hmm.
where I'm at now. And, you know, from a spiritual perspective, that kind of changed how people thought of me.
When you
world.
change your name.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Well, and by the way, you were big enough that you could pull that off. Most people can't pull that off, but you're on the short list of people who did, right? And how much of that was when the Malice at the Palace happened? How much of that changed your spiritual trajectory and your focus on mental health, or was it you were already on that path?
I wasn't on that path yet.
Okay.
At the Malice at the Palace, I was not on any spiritual change yet.
You were doing some work though, because as I understood it, the reason you laid down was you were trying to meditate. You were trying to center yourself, right? But maybe the pain hadn't gotten to be big enough that you needed to really make change.
But that was more like for me personally, right? When I was doing therapy at that time, I wasn't thinking about my spirituality as a whole. I was thinking about one issue.
Yeah.
Like anger management, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's just fix that.
Yeah.
When I got older, I started thinking about, okay, you know what? You have so much potential.
Yeah.
Try to improve everything.
Yeah.
Right, as I got older.
So one thing, you know, I in The Last Dance, Jordan's talking about some of the head games he'd play with himself, where somebody would say something to him and he would intentionally take it personally because he would use that anger and to fire his competitive spirit. Now, you kind of went the other way. And what I wonder is...
I was just mad right away.
Well, if you start turning that off, does that adversely affect your performance?
It could. I mean, obviously, MJ was driven by many different things.
Yeah.
With me, I was driven right away. I just wanted to, you know, pretty much go into court and be a dominant presence.
Yeah.
Physically, mentally, but mostly physically.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to be a dominant presence on the floor. And, you know, when you turn it off, it could affect the game, but honestly, I don't think it affects your game. I think it's all mental.
So using things like anger or feeling slighted by somebody, you didn't see that as a benefit.
No.
And when you turned it down, that actually it helped your performance rather than holding you up.
I don't really see that as a benefit. I see it as a part of you.
Yeah.
Right? That's you because you've been through something, or that's just you. But I don't see that as a benefit. I see balance as the ultimate benefit. You know, I see you can still play with fire and be rational and be calm and be balanced. You know what I'm saying? You can do it.
Yeah.
That's what I would encourage
Well,
people
it's interesting because, you know, like you look at performers, right? You look at artists and you talk about, well, when they were on drugs, they made their best music, right? And then they get off of drugs, they can't make a hit anymore. And you look at that with athletes, you look at that in people in different areas. We all have our vices that we go to. And sometimes it can be, unfortunately, an inspiration that gets an outcome that you want. But then sometimes some people can push past that and go, no, I'm going to make a better quality work product, whether that's on the court or in a booth or whatever, by being healthy.
Yes.
And I think what's beautiful about your story is that you didn't need to go shoot up with whatever it was that was feeding you at that time.
Right.
You were able to take the healthy version of that and channel it and, you know, still achieve career milestones you couldn't do before.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and to your point when you were saying about how some artists perform better on drugs or alcohol or whatever, you know, they always say, like, you know, the grass is not green on the other side. So maybe it's a better song, but maybe it's not healthy for you.
Yeah.
So maybe if you stay on the healthy side, that's better for you in the long run because if you know, put all this poison in your body, on that side, the grass is not green on that side, even though you're making a hit and making more money. But
at what cost?
At what cost, right.
Right, okay. And so what was the actual turning point for you to get on this path, to get on this journey of mental health?
You know, I think the path was when I realized that people couldn't afford it, right? I have issues. I've never addressed my issues. I'm in the NBA. I have a check. I pay for therapy. As much therapy as I want.
Yep.
Helps me. I'm happy. Then I'm like, oh, wow. this is great for me, but some people can't pay for therapy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is almost not fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not fair.
Yeah.
Right? So then in my mind, I'm like, how can we change that?
Mm-hmm.
And that was just something that I wore on my sleeve. That was something that and people saw it because I always talked about it.
Yeah.
And that was just passion that I wore on my sleeve. How can we change it? I don't think I took enough action, behind the scenes to get things done. But I put enough passion behind it where it got people talking about it.
Yeah, for sure. At an early stage. Well, it's funny. So I'm rewatching The Sopranos right now, and I'm thinking about where was the world 20 years ago, and the stigma around mental health and around things like therapy. And that was a central premise of the show, right? Is to take a guy that's all, machismo, all, this, what I guess they'd call toxic masculinity now, and say that, people need help and to normalize it a little bit, right? And you were kind of operating in the same environment where the world was not where it is today, where professional athletes can talk openly about mental health and not feel judged for that. How have you seen the culture change in the time since you've been on this path?
I've seen it change a lot. I think you see players and athletes that are big and strong just being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it is what it is. Like, I think being weak, being vulnerable, I think those are two different things.
Yeah.
Right? So you could be vulnerable and still be a man and still be strong.
Yeah.
If you're a man that's coming out. Right? I'm speaking in terms of male athletes right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that common knowledge now? If you start out in the NBA, is that thinking prevalent right now? Is that pervasive, or is that something that people still, not many people really think about it in those terms? Or has that become normal?
I think it's normal now. Some people got their stuff together, but I think it's normal.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, so by the way, you I found out that you sold your ring.
Yeah.
You had one ring. You won it with the Lakers. That was 2010, right? You won a championship. Why did you sell that ring?
Many reasons. One, when I set my goals out to do something, I don't get those goals accomplished. It's all or nothing for me, and I always wanted to win a ring with Indiana, with the Pacers. And when I didn't win the ring with the Pacers, it didn't feel like a real ring to me. And on the flip side, so I didn't really know what to do.
You carried a lot of guilt about that.
Not only guilt, but I didn't accomplish anything. See what I'm saying?
Well, I hear what you're saying.
One would say this.
Yeah.
But I feel like I didn't accomplish anything because, you only have a window of opportunity to be great and for legacy.
Yeah.
Right? And my legacy was going to be built in Indiana. Now, I rebuilt my legacy with the Lakers.
Yes.
I'm very appreciative of that. But I set out a goal.
Yeah.
I didn't accomplish the goal. The goal was to get MVP. It was to get every single award in the NBA. And I was close. I got all but 2.
Yeah. And have you been able to forgive yourself for that since that time?
Yeah, I forgive myself now. But with the ring, I said, what can I do with this ring? And I just raffled it off.
Yeah. And you don't miss it?
No.
Yeah.
I got another one. Thanks to the Lakers.
All right.
And thanks to LeBron and AD. When they won a ring, the Lakers sent me a ring.
I should know this, but was the Lakers the last team you played for?
The Lakers was the last team I played for.
Okay. And I believe I heard you talking about how, as you're getting ready for retirement, that Kobe was helpful to you in helping maybe mentally prepare you or look ahead and know what that transition was going to be like. Is that true?
Yeah, I reached out to Kobe just to talk about business, and because I knew once I retired, things I wanted to do was not things that I've done in the past. I've been playing basketball in the past.
Yeah.
I haven't been focused on anything else. So I know I can do it.
Yeah.
But I needed some type of advice on how to attack it.
Yeah.
And Kobe would, just talk calmly, conversational.
Yeah.
And it's all about just every day chipping away and going after your goals and not letting anything hold you back. So I would literally just do that. Like when I was in the gym as a kid, I wasn't working and in the gym. I wasn't, interning and in the gym. I was in the gym. Mm-hmm. So now when you flip it over on the other side, it's like, okay, I had to turn down deals because certain deals would take an hour away from my time on what I'm trying to accomplish, even though there's some money involved.
Yeah.
And sometimes a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I'm putting so much I'm putting all my eggs in this basket of, of upside, for my personal company versus taking all the extra cash that could be coming in.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You can you can take a minute of your time, an hour of your time, and you can invest it in your own business, which is a long-term proposition, or you can take the short-term cash today to make money for somebody else, and you have to choose to focus.
I don't mind making money for other people. It's just, I don't mind that at all.
Sure.
I don't mind help, but it was about taking time from what I'm doing.
But it's about distraction, right? It's opportunity cost, and I think that's the hardest thing for all of us is to go like, okay, I can transact, and that might be a good deal to do. There's nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with it.
Except that you're never going to get that time back, and you can't allocate that on your North Star, your core purpose.
For your North Star.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
It's really hard. I mean, you can do it, but then it's only 24 hours in a day.
Yeah.
So that's really difficult.
So what's most important to you? Like, what is your life's mission at this point?
Well, it's a business mission and it's a spiritual mission.
Are they different?
No, actually, I embed philanthropy in my business, so it's not different.
Yeah.
So I can.
How'd you do that?
Wow, that's real good. Well, I think one of the things I wanted to do was, the diversity is really important to me.
Yeah.
So working with a diverse group of people, and then also just being innovative. So if one of my female workers was to happen to get pregnant, it's okay to bring your baby to work, things like that.
Yeah.
Just different things like that.
Yeah.
Am I helping people in my business?
Yeah.
So some things I wanted to do,
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily helping people. I was helping myself. So I had to find a balance between chasing stars or doing things for myself versus helping people.
Yeah.
So how can I build something that's going to bring people together?
Yes.
Right. So when you talk about my app, for example, when I tell people I have an app.
Yeah. Tell us about your app.
When I tell people I have an app that brings basketball players together, they think it's just online, but no, it's actually bringing people physically together, which is it's opposite of where the world is going.
Is that the league that you're working on, or is that a totally different thing?
It's still it's a digital league.
Okay. It's a digital league.
It's a digital league.
Okay.
But you're really competing together.
Uh-huh.
Which is like not normal because most of the businesses now is going towards straight digital.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, this blends the physical world with that. Well, that's what's really interesting, and I think that, as somebody who owns and operates a business, and part of the reason we're doing this show is because, I have an ad agency.
Yes.
And we got people working very hard to help grow these companies. The world is shifting in that it used to be about you got profitability over here. It's profits. And there's this movement towards something called stakeholder capitalism, right? The idea that how your business affects the community around you is also a measure of your success. It's not just bottom line, right? It's broader than that. And the pendulum has swung very, very far. So like in our business, we have an initiative called the Koala Core. And if we put an ad on your podcast and you sell more product for our client, we tally that up. We give money to Children's Hospital in Los Angeles to hold babies that don't have anybody bedside to hold them. And we're doing this podcast right now that you're part of now to help highlight programming that's not pulling people apart, because people are so divided right now. We got every reason in the world to go into our tribes and to fight and to exploit those differences. You can make a lot of money driving people apart and talking about how they're the villains and we're good over here, and not actually connecting and uniting. And so we want to use media for good. And it seems like you're doing similar types of activities with your business.
Yes. Yeah, it's all about bringing people together. Even through the toughest times, you still got to focus, because you said it earlier, you never know someone's agenda in media.
Yeah.
So if I'm looking at media or anything and I listen to it all the time, then I get pulled in that direction, then, I'm not really making decisions for myself versus I'm always taking a step back. I don't jump right into news.
Yeah.
I always wait. I'll wait a year if I have to. I remember even with the Black Lives Matter.
You mean whether you're a part of the story or not. You're not just talking about when you're the headline. You're talking about whatever you consume.
Anything I consume.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so you're talking about Black Lives Matter.
Well, I was just saying, I'm always waiting, no matter what it is, whether it's some things like some certain incidents on TV. The big one was George Floyd. That one you have to dive in.
Yeah.
You can't really wait on that one.
Yeah.
But it's so many different things that happen even around that.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, okay, I see this message being put out there. I see this message being put out there.
Yeah.
And it's coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
And you can see some of the messaging that was dividing. Even though we knew something was wrong, we had to do something. Now my mind is over here trying to make a change. And at your most vulnerable state, people's like, okay, let's divide them now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When they're not looking, they're not ready.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm always like aware of what's being presented to me on the media.
Yeah. Well, and it makes our country vulnerable. We don't really pay attention. I think we talk so much about what's happening domestically, but we don't really realize how vulnerable we make ourselves when we divide each other, because it just makes it so much easier.
Well, it's not us. It's other people. I always tell people it's not as bad as it seems, and that's kind of weird.
Okay.
It's not as bad as it seems. Is it bad? Was it bad in 1990? Was it bad in 1920s? Was it bad? Yes, it's been bad, but you can't just highlight those parts.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes people only see, the big story is white versus black, right?
Yeah.
And then if you keep pushing that, you're gonna think like it's white versus black.
Yeah.
If you watch, a Marvel movie, and you just watch it, you're gonna, love the good guys and hate the bad guys.
Yeah, generally, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just like, I think be very. It's not. They say we're more divided, but I got all type of friends. I'm doing business with all type of people.
Were you always that way, or was that something you evolved to?
I evolved to it, for sure. Because
how did you start? What was your starting position on all that?
Well, growing up, I grew up in a black neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
Black and some Latinos, not a lot.
Okay.
Some Latinos, and maybe like that was it.
Yeah.
But so then growing up, you have you feel a certain way about gay people. You feel a certain way about white people. You feel a certain way about Muslims.
Yeah.
You feel a certain way about anybody, right?
Yeah.
It's like this is your perception.
Yeah.
This is your perception. So how do you get rid of perception?
Yeah.
How do you even know you have a perception?
Yeah.
And
well, we live at such an interesting time. You and I are about a month apart in age, and Gen X is a crazy place to live because we know life when there was a phone attached to a wall and busy signals and no internet, and like the culture has changed. Like the world that we live in is not the world we were born into.
Right.
And when we were kids, you think about people in the 50s, and I can't believe they were like that. But then we look at where the world was even 30 years ago. Even you look at a movie 6 years ago, it's unbelievable how much the world has changed.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's very, very, very true. Very, very, very true.
And I think we're all just trying to catch up, but it's hard.
It's a great world. I think it's a great world. Besides people that don't want it to be great, I always tell people when things is going well, somebody's going to try to mess it up.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's great. I mean, I think people are more understanding of each other. It's not everything's not perfect.
Yeah.
But I think it's okay.
So with you've had a colorful career and a lot of controversies and things like that. What did you learn about the media as you became a public figure and went through your own cycles?
Well, I was always skeptical of the media. I'm from New York City, so in New York City, there's a lot of spiritual people in New York City.
Yeah.
So many different faiths and religions in New York City.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you get a lot of knowledge. So I never trust the media.
Yeah.
And I never ever wanted to, change for the media.
Yeah.
That was something that was really important to me, not changing for media. And, because people got to sell advertisement. And now that I have a publication, I know that, hey, let's put this story out.
Yeah.
Let's push this. And, I've been developing publications. Well, my first one I started was eight years ago.
Wow.
So now you're looking at it like that. You're like, oh, wow, I understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. Tell a good story versus revenue. I mean, what are you going to do, right?
Yeah. Well, do you feel like you were treated fairly as a public figure by the media generally?
I think certain things was on point. I think certain things was yes and certain things was no. I didn't mind people saying that he's a bit crazy at times. I was doing wild stuff.
So that part was fair.
I didn't like the thug stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't like that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up around thugs, but
yeah.
I'm personally not a thug.
Yeah.
But I didn't like that at all.
Yeah.
Because you just lay that on someone.
That happened after the Michigan event.
That happened before the Michigan event.
Oh, they were okay.
I mean, I have my
You
own
had
attitude,
that,
but I'm not a
yeah.
thug. A thug, and just because you're upset or you are angry or you're not a thug.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's people that would call. There's people on TV today that would call me thug.
Today?
Well, they still on TV. You know,
Okay.
I'm not about like mentioning names and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I'm saying.
But at the time, they were painting you with an unfair
call me
brush.
thug. I'm not a thug.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I know thugs. I'm around thugs. I got friends. All my friends is thugs. And you want to call it a thug, but then when you look at it, like when you look at my friends, like one of my friends, my friend Bantu Mays, he passed away. He got shot up. He passed away. When we was in elementary school, he was getting hundreds on his test. I was failing. I got red marks. He got green marks. Right? And I wasn't doing that well in school.
Yeah.
He was. But he go home. He go back to the streets.
Yeah.
Right? So now I go to high school, and he's in the streets.
Yeah.
Could have went to any school. He's very, very intelligent. But he chose the streets.
Was that a values decision for you, or was it truly that you had such a gift that kept you focused and out of all that?
Well, my mom and dad separated at 13.
Okay.
So I understood what it was to be with a family.
Yeah.
His mom was on drugs.
Okay.
And he don't know his dad.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There's so many different variables that happen.
Yeah.
So you could be the greatest student, but if you don't know your dad or you're struggling, your mom is on drugs, and I love his mom, I know his mom, but if your mom's on drugs, it's like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, I was listening to your conversation with Dr. Drew, and he was just talking about the disparity between households in this country with children, and it's I don't know if it's an answerable question. How do you even make sense of it, let alone address it? When you have such different experiences.
Yeah, it's true.
As a child.
I agree. Everybody's so many different experiences, but that's why now what I focus on is my mission statement for my 501c3 is parenting and partnerships. Still, I feel like that's mental health at the core, at the bottom. If we could help improve the teachings to our children about parenting. The radio's teaching them about calling women's whole H's and B's.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Wear jewelry, get a girl, and don't worry about she's nothing.
Yeah.
So if they're learning that at 5 and 6 and 7 and singing these words, we need to combat that with teaching them good parenting. Yeah. What it is to be a good parent and what it is to be a good partner.
It's not going to come from internet regulation, is it? It's got to start in the house.
It got to start with public. I think the public is the parent because we put our economy is based off working. Right? So if the parents are already separating, the mother has to go to work. If she doesn't, she's going to be out in the street or shelter. So she has to go to work. The kid's going to school. Even if the mother and father's together, the kid is still going to school. When the kid is away from the parent, then that's when it's all every person for themselves. This is where the music comes in. This is where the bad habits come in. The public is the parent. And we need to treat it as such. We should pay our teachers more. We should pay our policemen more. We should pay our firemen more. They're the ones out there with our children. Right? That kind of goes against what, defund. I'm not saying like bad police activity is good. I'm saying let's talk about just what I'm talking about.
I'm tracking with you.
The public is the parent.
Yeah.
And we got to train our teachers better. We got to train anybody that's doing a public service to make sure, hey, when you come in contact with someone else's child, you should treat it as such.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and the airwaves are a big part of that, as you were talking about earlier. And so that's one of the things I like about what you're doing is, you've got a platform, you've got a voice, you've got a following, and you're using that to bring people together. And so tell us a little bit about your podcast and what's the focus and how's that going so far?
It's been fun. I've been wanting to do podcasting for a long time, metaphorically speaking. I actually did the podcast with my friends from my neighborhood. We did it 2014.
Oh, really?
So
okay, that's early.
Early.
That's when Serial started.
Yes. And then
that's like when nobody knew what podcasting was. It was this edge thing. So you were doing it. Yeah, okay, you're ahead on some stuff. We got to pay attention to you because you're doing stuff early.
I know. I wish people would really support what we were doing, but we did it. We had guests, 4 shows. and we couldn't distribute it. We didn't know how to get it out.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? We knew the creativity part and how to produce it.
Yeah.
And then it was called Metaphorically Speaking. So then we just shelved it for 6 years.
Yeah.
Until somebody said, hey, you want to do a podcast? I'm like, yeah. I said, oh, by the way, we got a podcast called Metaphorically Speaking. Let's just bring that back to life.
Yeah.
So my podcast is basically Metaphorically Speaking.
Yeah.
You know, speak your mind.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be about controversial stuff. I don't really care about controversial stuff at all.
No, but it seems like personal growth and mental health is a constant theme that you're covering with people.
Yeah, and I'm not forcing it on people.
No,
but
sometimes, but you're just having honest conversations with people, and whether it's somebody that does that professionally, like Drew Pinsky, or like your conversation with Tyson is crazy. He is deep.
He is deep.
Oh man, I don't think people realize what is going on in that man's mind.
No, he's a creative person. He's a genius.
I
mean, when you look at a boxer, it's really difficult to duck a punch and then throw a punch.
Yeah.
So that you have to be a scientist.
Yeah.
To master that.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Well, sometimes I wonder that because you're a math guy.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that intuitively, like you might not have been like consciously doing that on the court, but I do wonder how that helped you in your as an athlete.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you think about that? Is there a connection there?
Oh, for sure.
Like geometry, right? Like you're doing geometry the whole time intuitively.
I don't know about anyone else.
Yeah.
But when I play, I use math.
Yeah. Talk about that.
So one of the things, and math is moving while you're playing, you know? So one of the things I would do is when I was shooting in Sacramento, when I was in Sacramento particularly, I would measure, because when your eyes see something, your fingertips can tell the distance within 0.4 seconds. Sorry, within 0.2 seconds.
Yours can't, my can't.
No, yours can't. Every human has this. So, like, for example, if I had this cup, this water bottle, and I wanted to throw it here versus throw it over there. Once I see it, I can throw it to my target.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, once you see the hoop, the mind is amazing.
Yeah.
So then what's the distance between the point at the climax of the ball and the rim? So when you see the rim, and you already know that the halfway point is right up there.
Yeah.
Just hit it right there. And it's going to fall right in the net every time. You know? And
I had somebody tell me one time you got to put your finger in the net.
Well, that's it. Everybody got good techniques.
Yeah, well, but I don't. Well, so one of the
just throw it up there.
You may not realize it, but we're making history right now because a better basketball player has never had a conversation with a worse basketball player. And my problem is always I get in my head and I start thinking.
Yeah.
And that's with all sports, but there's got to be something where some people you're thinking, but you're doing it intuitively. You're like a conscious, unconscious competent. Right, and I think that's probably one of the key factors there. But it's interesting to think about how that math talent that you've had actually translated into your success.
Yeah, I think
one contributing factor.
Solutions, right? There's always a solution in math, right?
Yeah. So the show. I mean, how much of the show do you think is about mental health, for example?
I think.
Is that a through line with all episodes for you?
No, I don't. I love talking about stars. I love talking about technology. I love different things like that. I'm really excited about the outer space.
Are you?
Yeah, for sure. It's something I really love to talk about. And anytime I can get on those subjects, and anything that has something to do with, out of body.
Yeah.
I love that.
So that's why you like the metaverse so much, because it's a whole different. I mean, is it helping us? Is it neutral? Is all of the advancements in technology that we've seen in our lifetime? Is it a net gain for humanity? Do you think?
Honestly, I do believe it can be. I don't think that we're using enough technology. I believe that we are suppressing technology. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of technology is not being exposed. A lot of this stuff is with these patents and different things like that. We're not seeing the best technology, and I'm talking about technology that's used for positive, not for negative. We should be able to go. We should have been able to go to Mars already, right? These things should have been available.
Yeah.
Right, but I think because we were in a fight so much on Earth, we're forgetting about outer space. When they say you reach for the stars. They say dream. The stars are so far away. That's why people say reach for the stars. Well, if we're fighting here, we can't reach for the stars.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of how we got there to begin with, right? Like we were in competition, and we were in competition with other countries.
Right.
And that's why we went to the moon. And that's what bothers me about not specifically that, but the idea that humanity can accomplish so much, and we could do so much in this country with all the resources that we have.
Right.
We could solve real problems, and I think
agree.
we are solving a lot of problems. But we could do so much more if we didn't spend so much time and energy in fighting.
Every 4 years, so I'm gonna say something that people don't like, but I never voted until last year because I don't like picking sides.
Yeah.
I've never joined the gang, even though I know gangs. I never joined the gang.
Yeah.
I'm just not into that.
Well, that's kind of what politics is, right?
I don't know. I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. But I'm just saying I never in my life I never picked a side. So why I never vote? Because I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just have a good time.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Also, by the way, 10 kids in your family?
10 kids.
You're a middle child?
I'm a middle child.
Do you follow birth order theory at all?
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so this is big. You'll like this. Okay, birth order theory basically says a lot of your personality is dictated by where you were born in the sequence. So if you're a middle child, you're a lot more likely to be a peacemaker. What was your second name? Right?
That's really interesting.
Right? So the firstborn is usually, like, they looked at the first, 20 people in outer space, and it was like 19 of them were all firstborns. If you're a baby in a family, like, you look at the biggest comedians in the world, all babies. All babies in the family. Absolutely. Yeah, there's common threads. Being in the middle of the pack did something for you. That has a material impact on who you are. Where you are, if you're the firstborn, a lot of firstborns crumble, and then the secondborn is always a reaction to the first. So if the firstborn is super responsible, the second might be a total black sheep of the family. Sometimes the firstborn cracks under the pressure, and then the second one picks it up and acts like the firstborn. It's a total reaction to what's ahead of you. So it's kind of interesting that you've always been a peacemaker, and you've not wanted to take sides, and here you are perfectly situated in the middle of 10.
Yeah, I'm perfectly in the middle of 10. Absolutely. But I just always feel like in 4 years, we going back.
Yeah.
I got to go back to the polls. I got to spend so much energy telling you, don't vote for this person because they're bad. Yeah. And then after the election is over, we the next day everybody wakes up and we say, okay, this is our president. Okay, whether it's your president or it's not your president, whatever. Yeah. And then the week passes, and then we back on our regular lives. And 4 years come. Vote for this person. Don't vote. It's like, and I get it because certain rules affect me. Certain laws affect me. Yeah. For sure. How can we, get rid of laws that affect me in a negative light and then move forward together in a positive light? Yeah.
Well, that's the hope.
That's a hope. But with that being said, but we always come together. Somehow we fight every 4 years, and we always come back together. Well, so I'm like, if we're coming back together anyway, I'll just meet you over there.
I hope that that's true, and I'll tell you, it's interesting you dropped the world peace after 2020. 2020, right?
I didn't drop it.
You didn't drop it?
Oh,
you
no.
still want world peace.
That's my name. That's still my.
All right, will you give the explanation? All right, give the explanation, please.
I got married and I took my wife's last name.
Okay. That was cool. Well, I'm sure she appreciated that. Let me try to remember what I was going to say.
2020.
Oh, 2020. Mess. Okay, so that was what was really discouraging to me, is because this pandemic hits, everybody's scared. Everybody's saying things like, we're all in this together. And then we found out very quickly we were not all in this together. People started going to their tribes, their factions, red versus blue. And then George Floyd, I thought, okay, this is something we can all get behind. We can unify over this. We can grow together from this. We don't have to argue about this. It's there, right? That's not what happened. That's the opposite of what happened. And I feel like every historical crisis this country has faced prior at that magnitude has brought us together. This was the first time I've seen it split us up. If just looking at it historically. Now, real historians may correct me on that, but that is my perception. And so I think it's very, very important, the work that you're doing. I think it's very important that we're having conversations like this here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because media is, like you said, I don't know if I would say the same thing, that it is the public that has to raise the child, but it certainly influences. It certainly influences.
Yeah.
We can agree on that. And if we all have a microphone now, we're all journalists. We can all reach the world with our words on social media, on these platforms with podcasts or things like this. And we can do that to divide each other, or we can do it to unite. And I think that we have too much in common, and there's too much opportunity for people for us not to pursue that. So I appreciate what you're doing. I know you've got to go, but maybe you could just leave us with some thoughts on, for the advertising community, for people that might want to financially support your podcast or other ventures that you're launching.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, I mean, do you get into it with the sponsors? Do you how do you look at that?
It's been an interesting scenario. So for me, when I got in that brawl, I lost every deal I had the next day and did not get a corporate deal.
How much did that cost you? I'm from Michigan, by the way.
Go Michigan. It probably cost me, maybe I would say, anywhere from 50 to 100 million. Not only the money I lost, but then a player like my caliber, when you talk about a top 10 player, third team All NBA, that player is going to get like $100 million contract, $90 million contract. So those contracts never came, on top of the endorsements that never came back.
50 to 100 million.
An opportunity? Yeah, probably something like that.
Over a $50 bet.
Oh, I thank you for remembering that. Yes.
And then you made peace with the guy.
Hey, you know what? Life is not about paper. This is life.
Yeah.
It's not about money. Paper can't get in between me and somebody else.
That's really beautiful, by the way. I mean, just for people that didn't catch that, you actually went and made peace with the man that threw the thing that created all that.
Yeah, I lost a lot of money. But you know what? It's like people made decisions because I was not a good figure for what happened, but I was just addressing an issue between somebody who started some trouble with me.
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And people said, no, you cannot do that. You know what? We have different opinions on that.
Yeah.
We have different views. But, with that being said, I forget the question you asked.
Well, we were before we talked about seeing how fast the endorsements go away,
dude,
and now we have a $50 to $100 million gap we want to recoup.
Yeah, let's get it back. Let's
doing
get it
positive
back.
actions.
Oh, let's get it
positive
back.
activities.
Hey, but you want to know something? I told myself I'm gonna get it back, and I'm gonna get it back by putting my feet and hands in the mud. Meaning, I'm just gonna go get it because I don't like that I lost it. I'm not, I've never had a Bentley. I've never had an expensive car, so it's not like money. It's never something I was like really into.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I was really disappointed. So, but when the corporations stopped working with me, I just said I'll just start corporations myself.
Yeah.
Right. So I got my own corp.
Yep.
Artist Management Group Inc.
Yep.
We have shareholders.
Yep.
With Artist Management Group, we have a couple different silos. We have a business management division, which is run by a separate CEO. Which we're partnered on those. So I partner on my silos with different people to run them.
Good.
Which I can sort of help me build my engine.
Yeah.
So we have for our intrinsic is our business management department.
Okay.
So we have like Canelo Alvarez as a client. It's the biggest boxer in the sport. We just signed Munguia. And we got other boxers and athletes under there. So I'm really happy about that. We do tax accounting.
Yep. I
invested in the company. I was co-founder of the company.
You've got a ventures group where you do investments in other businesses?
And then we do have another silo where we invest. So I'm in Buttercloth is a company that we're in with Shark Tank investor, Robert Hajavik. Shark Tank investor. We're in a company called Easy Care Link. Both those companies are doing millions and millions in revenue. I negotiate really good deals with myself. I'm in Planet-Based Foods. Yeah. Also, then we have the tech division, in which LA Times invested in our tech division. So I'm really happy about that. We have in-house marketing. So our portfolio companies use our in-house marketing. They use our marketing company we service them, along with our own company. So it saves a ton of money when you have marketing in-house. Yeah. Mark Cuban taught me that. Yeah. And then we also have a production. And like I said, each one of the silos has someone running it, and they're building out their teams, and I just try to support them with whether it's investor relations or finding good people or finding partnerships and different things like that. So I'm really happy from that perspective. I finally got an opportunity to work with Fortune 500 companies. So we're working with Boost Mobile's working with us now. which is great with our tech company.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing some things with them, producing content.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to, I'm trying to get it back. But I'm not asking for a handout.
No.
And honestly, if you'd have never mentioned it, I would never say nothing.
Yeah.
We're just working.
Yeah, yeah.
And I figured that, since the corporations was not really working with me, and you got to go through all this red tape, and not red tape, you got to go through these processes.
Yeah.
I felt like, just do it on your own, just do it on your own. But I was kind of hurt, I'm not going to lie, because I felt like I was trying to go down the right path.
Yeah.
From philanthropy, even the therapy.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like everything I tried didn't work. I just couldn't escape.
Yeah.
I'm laying on the table. I'm not trying to fight. I literally tried to run from every single problem. And I feel like nobody really saw that.
Mm-hmm.
It was okay. I dealt with it.
Yeah. Well, and so I think the message to the potential sponsors is you're open for business. There's a lot of business to do. And you've got a brand that's about helping people. And you've worked hard to establish that brand.
Yeah, for sure. I worked hard to establish the brand, the company. We got 2 C Corps. The goal is to go public, eventually.
I love that.
Absolutely. And that's what we're doing now, and literally, went back to school after I retired.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to Concordia Irvine's on.
After you retired, you went back to college.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I went back to take some classes, digital analytics, business analytics at Concordia, digital analytics at UCLA.
Amazing.
Social media. And then I did some Google Analytics in Vancouver, so I did a big course on Google Analytics. I also studied for the Series 7. The reason I was doing business...
You're a multitasker.
The reason I was doing that was because when you build a business,
yeah,
and if you want to sell the business, so how are you going to build the business? Well, you need marketing. Okay, then how are you going to sell a business? Well, you got to understand the sale of a business. You got to understand what it's going to take to go public. So I kind of did all that on the front,
mm-hmm.
and then I said, okay, take a step back, and now build the business.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, I can see the future once again.
I think you're on track. Your batting average is pretty good. Okay, cool. So if people want to get close to what you're doing, where do you direct people?
LinkedIn is the best way.
Oh, really?
Just go to LinkedIn.
Okay.
It's like so
there
easy.
you go. I love that.
You can go to my website, but just go to LinkedIn.
You're on LinkedIn. You take your business seriously.
Yeah.
Metta, thank you for doing this. I appreciate what you're doing. Appreciate the work that you've done on yourself. And I think you're helping a lot of people. So
absolutely.
We appreciate you. And I feel like we just started the conversation, but I hope we can do this again sometime.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
Of course.
Absolutely.
This show is dedicated to advancing our mission of mobilizing marketers to promote truth and civility in journalism. We value clarity, truth, fairness, respect, de-escalation, and tolerance. We invite you to engage with us at MediaRoundtable.com. If you found this show helpful and you're committed to our cause, please follow us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen. It's always free. And if you're a marketer looking for support to live this stuff out, you can get in touch with our agency, Oxford Road, by visiting oxfordroad.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter, The Influencer. Special thanks to Bianca, Kyle, Jennifer, and the team at Podcast One. And as always, influence responsibly.